Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and another video. First thing is, thank you to everybody who've commented on the Trek Checkpoint videos recently. The channel has done, for me at least, pretty well over the last sort of 6 weeks or so. Subscribers have gone up, so yeah, just thank you for that, because I haven't actually released a video for quite some time, but that's going to change today, obviously. So it is, what is it? I'm never any good at this. It's right at the end of October. Weirdly, it's pretty mild, at least for this time of year in the UK. My road bike is currently off the road due to a rear brake issue. That's the good bike anyway. TT bike is sort of part collapsed, ready for a bit of winter servicing. And my winter road bike is strapped to the turbo, where it pretty much lives, because it's just an awful bike. But I will do a follow-up on that actually, as to why it's an awful bike, because I've only ever done one video on that. Anyway, already I digress. So Trek Checkpoint, I'm back up in Derbyshire. I'm at the car park that I can never remember the name of. I will stop and kind of do you know, one or two bits like this whilst we're out on the trail. I'm not ever so sure how this is really going to turn out, but the main purpose today is to get some good long miles in on the stock wheels. So since my last upload, I've switched back to the stock wheels. I have ported the tires across, which right now completely elude me, but they're not the stock ones. They're something a bit more rugged. They are Schwalbe G something bite. I'll throw it up anyway, it's fine. You can figure that out in a minute. You can probably see the bike's kind of in bits in the back, so I'm trying to hurry up a little bit so I can at least get moving, because the route that I've got is quite a long one. It's going to be sort of 60-ish miles, I estimate. So it's going to take me a fair few hours, but I'll come back to that in a second. The other thing that I want to test out, as well as getting some miles, is the Garmin mount, the Garmin and sort of combined GoPro mount that I had on. It was one of these sort of dual-sided mounts that essentially bolted to the stem plate, and you did that via these sort of extended bolts. It wasn't the greatest really, for a couple of reasons. It was a bit bouncy. It didn't really hold the Garmin. I've got a larger Garmin, one of the 1040 models, I think it is, and so it's a bit heavier, and it was an okay mount, but I just figured there was better. And I stumbled, and in actual fact, on paper at least it appears there is, because I stumbled across one of the blender mounts that Trek Bontrager do. So I've got myself one of those, and I figured what a better way to test it than to do off-road 60-miler. Other than that, the only other thing to say is I did most of this route back in August, which was my first proper ride on this bike. It's where I recorded certainly my ride review, sort of part way round. It was summertime, it was busier on the trails, and yeah, it took me about 4.5 to 5 hours to do that route that day. And I went wrong a few times, so that kind of added to it. The car park's quite empty. This is a good sign. It means that the trail should be largely traffic free. Back in August there was a hell of a lot of walkers, especially when I got onto the Monsall Trail. So we'll wrap things up from here, at least for now, and yeah, do a couple more bits whilst we're out and about en route. No, thank you. right now you find me about halfway, maybe a bit over, the Pennine Bridleway in terms of the section that links the top of the Tissington Trail to the Monsall Trail, which is somewhere down there. So far I've managed to get here completely off memory, considering I only did sort of most of this route once before. I was quite relieved actually when I got to this gate, because it kind of yeah, I was a bit unsure really as exactly where I was. Just kept following signs for the bridleway. I am going to make a slight change in a second, because for anybody who watched the sort of ride review video that I did, that was right at the bottom of a very, very rocky section, and well, you'll see from the state of the bike. So I came here in August and dust was, I wouldn't say the problem, but the only mess on the bike. And look at this, and actually it's been dry for a few days, which was part of the reason why I said I probably wouldn't come and do this route until next year. Might as well say as well, whilst I'm at this point here, so stock wheels back on. The tyres that I couldn't remember the name of are the Schwalbe G1 Ultra Bike. There's probably a bit too much air in them. Certainly for this section, you'll see what this bridleway's like. I have actually recorded some of this as well, so quite boggy, these rocks acting like cobbles, but Tissington and Monsall, and even the high peak, that really fine gravel, not too dissimilar to some of our pavements, to be honest. So yeah, if they're too soft then they don't roll quite as well on there. And as I said, so there's a road somewhere down there you can see the car. I'm going to use that as opposed to going somewhere across there, because yeah, it's just a very steep section. So and that added loads of time. So that added loads of time last time around, whereas I figure if I stick to the road, it's going to be a downhill. Don't really like riding on the road too much on this bike, to be honest, but not actually been out of the garage now for about a fortnight, so yeah, I'm not really that bothered. I'm doing okay for time as well. I will at some point talk to you about this mount that I've changed to across these rough sections. So far it's standing up pretty well. The Garmin's definitely a better angle as well, so I think so far, albeit 20 miles in, I've made the right decision. So, one slight cock up, although I have a feeling it's still going to work out better. Now on to hiker bike, but this should bring me straight onto the Monsall Trail after flying down one of the best descents that I've ever had the joy of riding. So this should bring me out somewhere near Cheadale. You're right.
I definitely can't.
probably says it all. So this route's actually going to come in a bit longer than I estimated, but that quite often happens to me, to be honest. I'm always out by about 10k, typical man thing, overestimating. Although I suppose this is actually underestimating. So final stint, got about 22k to go to get back to the car. This is definitely the way that I prefer to do this route, kind of despite having some pretty significant climbs in the middle. So there was one that was like 1.3k, which I think I recorded some footage of, and then there's a couple more which, yeah, they're just dogs when you're about 40-45 miles in. So before I wrap this up, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to keep this out the wind, because yeah, apologies, I do like this spot, but it's just so open, as you can see. Anyway, second reason for coming up here today, other than the stock wheels, which I'll do a little bit on when I get back to the car, is this. So this is what I was referring to that I changed. So originally I had a mount that bolted in there, and so it was on sort of it was a CNC machine piece of aluminium, but Bontrager, which, let's face it, is Trek, actually do this, which is called, well, it's a series of blender accessories. So essentially what it is there's a clip here that sits underneath this stem, and then the same on the bottom, and then basically you just tighten the faceplate up as normal, job done. And then I should probably say as well, this comes in a series of different sort of options, so you can actually get a double mount. So you see this is a single, just with this sort of GoPro style mount here, that they do a double as well. And then essentially after that, once you've got the mounting points, whether it's 1 or 2, you then just buy the accessories that go with it. So this actually isn't a genuine part, this is another AliExpress. The reason I went for this, number one, pretty cheap, I will find the link for it, but 2, I wanted one that had a GoPro and a Garmin mount all in one, because personally I think if you're recording ride footage, the best way to do it is to actually get the camera underneath. Just my opinion, I think it makes for much cleaner footage. I do need to get myself one of those like wanker selfie stick type things though, what do you call them, gimbals, to go for this, because it'll probably just make yeah, recording on the trail, but just as a bit of a view. So yeah, this snaps into place quite nicely, it's held firm. I've been over some pretty rough stuff today, and then let me just try and realise I've just done an absolute shite job of keeping this out of the wind, but you can see in terms of the profile, sits nice and flat. This is going to look a little bit odd. Yes, outfit change. Yes, full finger gloves. The reason for this is I actually, at the point of recording the last piece to camera, I think I'd been about 4 and a bit hours in, and to be quite honest with you, I'd had enough and I'd about run out of time. I needed to get back. So I didn't actually get a chance to record the outro until now, which is about 10 days later, something like that. But I was quite determined, because I guess for me at least, who sets out with great plans and then runs out of time, which is pretty much normally what happens to me. So I thought I would at least record a bit of an outro. That ride round Tissington, in fact, which way did I go? So yeah, Tissington, Monsall, High Peak, and then kind of back down the Tissington. It came in at 68 miles, just yeah, around 68 miles. So it was about 4.5 hours, and yeah, it was just a great ride, to be honest, apart from that last probably 10-15 minutes where I had enough. There's a lesson there: make sure that you've kind of got enough fuel with you, especially at this time of year when you're kind of up and around Derbyshire, because you know, a lot of the sort of cafe stops that are maybe on those trails, you know, it's kind of, it's the off season now, so they're not all open. It just tends to be the main areas generally where the cycle hire places are, and that tends to be at the weekend. So yeah, I hope you like the video. No idea how it's gonna kind of turn out, because I have just recorded something else that was more specific on one or two of the points I wanted to talk around the bike, so it could just be a load of footage and yeah, a bit of rambling here and there from me. Anyway, if you do like it, please pop a big thumbs up on there, subscribe if you would like to see more, and thank you very much for watching.